faces. Worst generation, cooking up a feast while he's turning through the pages. Theories that he's making, from showing it insane and blocked in, analyzing, using observation. Yeah, observation. Rambling addiction.
Hello there, StrawHatLucas here, Captain of the Last Ark, and welcome to Rambling Addiction, a show where I talk and you listen, and tonight's topic is a little different than my usual fanfare. Yes, I know I usually will talk about all of the good otaku-ness of the world when it comes to anime and manga, but tonight I'm delving into a different realm of fiction, science fiction. That's right, you see, your boy StrawHatLucas has a love that is as old as time. Get it? Time travel. It's Doctor Who, guys. It's Doctor Who.
What?
If you're not familiar, Doctor Who is a British science fiction television series that started November 23rd, 1963. It's been going on for 60 years. The first series ran from November 23rd, 1963 to, I believe, 1989. Ending with the Seventh Doctor and Sylvester McCoy. Then we entered the wilderness years, where not much happened. Some spin-offs here and there, some novels. They were trying to make a Saturday morning American cartoon out of it. That fell through, thank God.
No! God, please, no! No!
Then we got the 1996 movie with Paul McGain's Eighth Doctor, which I love Paul McGain as the Doctor, even though that movie isn't the best quality. Then we got to the second era of Who, New Who, which was from 2005 to 2023. Yes. And with all of that history, a very, 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 very brief history of Doctor Who, we get to what I want to talk about tonight, and that is Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor, Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday, and then the two new episodes that we just got for the new season 1 of this third era of Doctor Who. And if you clicked on this video because you saw the thumbnail and you're a fan of Doctor Who, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I will be releasing more content on Doctor Who as the season progresses. Anyway, let's dive into this. And first thing I want to talk about is Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor. My man can act. Obviously, spoiler ahead if you have not watched the two latest episodes or are not up to date with Doctor Who. Want to get that out of the way. But getting back to Ncuti, oh my goodness. When I first saw him in the third episode of the 60th specials, The Giggle, we didn't get to see him very much, right? We got a basic interaction between him and David Tennant's 14th Doctor. Yes, that's the 14th, not the 10th. I'm not going to explain why here.
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey.
But we see him in the 14th interact for a little bit. The bi-generation happens, which was wild. Wild implications with the bi-generation. Because, when the 14th Doctor passes and starts to regenerate, will he, regenerate into the 15th and then get sucked back through time to do the bi-generation? Because that's how I interpreted it. No matter what, when the 14th dies, that way it doesn't create a paradox. And there's, yes, there's two Doctors, but there's always multiple Doctors. I'm rambling already, and we are not even into the episode. Back to Ncuti, we didn't see the biggest presentation from him in the 15th special. What I did see, though, I enjoyed. He feels like a very fun and eccentric Doctor, one that focuses on the joy of living and not what, the past Doctors have. They've kind of wallowed in their sorrow. If, we're being honest, come on, Matt Smith, did you have to lock yourself up in a town called Christmas for however long you did, my boy?
I don't get it.
Anyway, God, why did I choose Doctor Who? I knew I was going to ramble super hard because I know way too much about Doctor Who. Anyway, Ncuti Gatwa. Okay, so I'm sorry, guys. I love Doctor Who, and this is my first time talking about it in a video, so I'm excited. So Ncuti comes in. He has his interaction with the 14th, as I've said 100 times already because I keep getting off topic. And I enjoyed what I saw. Like I said, he seemed very joyous. It seemed like he had a feel for the role. It didn't feel like he had stepped into it 100% yet. Felt like I definitely needed to see more of his Doctor, and then we got it with the Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road. I enjoyed this special a lot. The only part of it, if I'm being honest, 100%, I did not like the musical number. It was fine, I guess. It just should not have gone on as long as it did. But I think there's a reason it happened, and we're going to get to it when I get to the Devil's Chord. I'm just saying. So, Church of Ruby Road, I was insanely impressed with Ncuti was, specifically during the scenes of when Ruby has disappeared because the goblins have gone back in time to displace her in her timeline and, you know, eat her. Yeah, I can't believe this is like, what is up with them and babies this season?
Yeah, baby.
But yeah, so when he goes back though and sees Ruby's mother leave her and stuff like that, like, and you get that look from him when he's staring and he's got the tear coming, like, oh, my heart. That felt like Doctor Who. You know what I mean? There was something missing from Jodie Whittaker's era, and it's not that Jodie was a bad actress. I actually thought she was a decent doctor. I just think that Chibnall's writing and his direction for showrunner just was not well executed at all. She always felt like the Doctor, but it felt like she was afraid to take the leap into the bigger emotional moments. Like, take, for instance, during the Flux, like, I expect, like, she was devastated, obviously, but, like, I was expecting more, if I'm being honest. Anyway, with Ncuti was Doctor, I really feel like in the Church of Ruby Road is when he started to come into it. You can tell he's fresh off that regeneration. He's learning what kind of person he is. You know, he's hitting the clubs. He's living as a rehabilitated version of the 14th Doctor, which brings me back to the bi-generation thing, guys. Is that how it works? When the 14th goes away, does he regenerate into Ncuti's Doctor, but within himself? Like, please tell me more about bi-generation. Like, I don't hate it. It doesn't bother me like the Timeless Child did. It's just, I need to know more about it. I guess, like, I need to know more. Like, explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Please, RTD. But anyway, you know, he's fresh off the regeneration. He's hitting the clubs. He's having fun. Like I said, seems very rehabilitated. Seems like he is trying to find happiness in the small things. And I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying that a lot. So let me get into actually the first episode that we saw, Space Babies.
What did he say?
Space Babies was okay. It wasn't, I'm glad that they released a second episode, because if that was the only episode they had released for like a worldwide premiere, I would be a little worried for the series. Not because it was a bad episode at all. Like I said, I enjoyed it, just because it was lackluster compared to what we got with the Devil's Court. That said, the concept of the babies was hilarious. I won't lie, guys. I'm a sucker for talking babies. And it reminded me of like 70s Doctor Who. Like specifically Peter Davison and Tom Baker's era. Like that like ridiculousness to it. Like that, yeah, it's cheesy, but like we're having fun with it. Like that kind of vibe with it.
Is something wrong?
But no, it did. It gave me this very strong early Who vibes. And I've been looking for that in New Who, which I love New Who, but it goes so much into the drama that it forgets to be fun at times. Of course, there are funny moments, but you guys understand what I'm saying, especially if you've been a fan of the series for a long while now. This Doctor is actually where Ncuti was Doctor really felt like the Doctor for me. And it all came down to one single moment that kind of happened at the beginning of the episode. It's when they get into the ship of the Space Babies and they see the Boogeyman for the first time. And the Doctor runs. The Doctor runs and immediately goes, but why did I run? And when I first heard him say that, I was like, oh, okay, is this what they're doing? Like, maybe his Doctor's afraid, like his body's afraid, but his mind isn't. Like, this is how the Doctor's gonna like handle getting in the new body. Like, that's what that arc is gonna be like in this. But then he says it again later, and he's like, I ran, and I never run. Every time I've seen a monster, I've walked right up to it and tried to figure out what it is. And it was in that moment that I was like, okay, yeah, this guy gets it. Like, he gets what it means to be the Doctor in some regards. I still wasn't sold 100%. Until he showed Ruby the planet below.
Gorgeous.
And he said, you know, this is why I get up every day after day after day. It's for this, is to see sights like this, to see the next thing. And seeing it through your eyes, which hints to why the Doctor travels with companions in the first place. It was just a really well done scene, and it reminds me of why I missed RTD's writing style so much. That said, it does feel a little reminiscent of a certain leather jacket wearing Doctor and blonde hair companion that came out in 2005. I will say that. It does feel like, it feels like he's doing Rose again. And specifically the end of the world is what I thought of when I saw that. But yeah, it was a good moment. It made me smile. It made me have that feeling that Doctor Who can give you. The babies were fine. Like I said, they were funny. The mouths bothered me a little bit. Like the CGI on the mouths, like everything looks so good, which I haven't even mentioned yet. The The new effects look amazing. Keep spending that Disney money.
Who's the asshole?
Like, it does. It looks so good, but the mouths bothered me so much. And then the twist with Nanny was funny, like, and I can't remember the character's name right now, but, you know, she was cracking me up so much with the filter that, like, cut out curse words. Like, that got me. I ain't gonna lie, that got me so much. And then, like, the concept of the boogeyman and, like, it being a kid, and, like, I've seen some people, like, being like, I don't get why they're like, hey, this thing exclusively hurts children, and now we're trying to save it. It doesn't, though. We saw the baby get attacked by it, and it just put him in a locker. It doesn't want to hurt the kids. It was invented to scare them by the motherboard, like the computer system. They explained it in the episode. I don't know why people are saying that. But nonetheless, the moment between Ncuti Gatwa's doctor and the boogeyman, I'm sorry, I'm trying to say bogeyman because that's what they say in the show, but it's boogeyman in America, and it's just throwing me off, so I apologize for that. But nonetheless, the moment between him and, like, wanting to save it because it's the only one of its kind, it shows that even though he is rehabilitated, the doctor is still carrying all of the trauma of not only the Flux, but the Time War, everything that's happened with the Time Lords. Like, my man's going through it. And I realize I have not even talked about Millie Gibson yet, and that's because I'm going to be honest, guys. Ruby's intriguing, but only because of what happens in the next episode, The Devil's Court. John Lennon being a very, very shitty person aside, I really do enjoy the music of the Beatles. It's one of the few cases where I can separate the art from the artist, and seeing them in this episode cracked me up, I won't lie. The actor they got to play the Beatles, like, John's actor looked enough like him, and they all sounded enough like him, except for Paul. Paul didn't look or sound like Paul, and it distracted me the entire time the doctor was talking to him. I'm just thinking of what that dude looked like. Holy shit, how did they think that was... I'm sorry, guys. Welcome to Rambling Edition. If this is the first episode you're seeing, this is kind of what I do. Anyway, so it opens up with... the one, the only, Jinx Monsoon coming out and taking this musician's music because they are the Maestro. And the Maestro is the child of the Celestial Toymaker. It's crazy. Like, that's crazy. Guys, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see more of the Celestials. The Celestial Toymaker, I know he wasn't that popular until, like, recently with fans, but I've always enjoyed that original Hartnell story because it's one of the, like, honestly, just because I love the first Doctor, like, good old Billy Hartnell, like, I ain't gonna lie. But no, I did enjoy that original serial, and so it was really cool to see Neil Patrick Harris come back, and I know, like, obviously I didn't do a review on the 3 anniversary specials, but I really enjoyed them for the most part. Anyway, the Maestro is the child of the Celestial Toymaker, and they are the concept of music. Just like the Celestial Toymaker being the concept of games, the only difference is, because Maestro doesn't have the basic rule set that a game would have, they don't have the same rules as the Celestial Toymaker, except for with how they come into the universe. Just like with the Celestial Toymaker, who can kind of manifest themselves, but they have to be invited in by a rule, like with what we saw in the Blue Wild Yonder of the Salt Core. Maestro must be brought in with the Devil's Court. So yes, Maestro comes in, the Doctor and good old Ruby Sunday, who I'm gonna get to, don't worry, come to the 60s to see the Beatles record their first album. And when they walk into the room they're recording in, they're all like, I love my dog is cool, my dog is great, I love my dog. And it's hilarious, I'm not gonna lie. I need the still living Beatles to record that and then AI John and George's voices into it, because I gotta know what it would sound like. I need it! So yes, they realize something weird is going on, so they go and see another musician perform. Someone I'm not very familiar with. I'm sorry for anyone I offend with that. I'm not sure who they are. And I'm not being any disrespect any type of way. I'm just not familiar with them. And then they go see an orchestra, and it's all off, right? So the Doctor and Ruby take a piano up to the roof. And this is when one of my favorite moments in the entire episode happened. And it is when the Doctor and Ruby started talking about Susan. Because I want Susan Foreman to come back so bad. In The Power of the Doctor, when Ian showed up, I was like, please let Susan be here. Please let Susan be here. Please let Susan be here. But sadly, we did not get that. So it was really cool to see them bring her up, especially since that is the time period that they would have been there. Like he said, I live right over there right now. me and my granddaughter. And it was just, it was good. And if I'm being honest, Shuti really killed that whole scene, man. Like the look in his eyes, it felt like he was remembering it himself, which is a sign of how good of an actor he is. So yes, they go up on the top of the building. They reminisce about Susie, and then Ruby plays a song, and the maestro comes. And Jinx Monsoon, I have to say, like, I'm a fan of Jinx. I'm not gonna lie. They were also in Steven Universe, which I'm also a huge fan of.
I've got you now!
So I was already familiar with how eccentric they are with their acting, and I've also seen them in Drag Race, which, phenomenal. Deserved every single one they got. So they blew me away with this. They were exactly what I would want a child of the Celestial Toymaker in this modern era of Who to be like. Terrifying yet funny, a little too much at times, but in a good way, you know what I mean? Almost like Doflamingo in One Piece. And if you're not familiar with One Piece, hi, I'm StrawHatLucas. My whole personality is based on it. But yeah, like it's that kind of like too much that's like, but it makes your skin crawl in a good way. It's a good villain that you're watching on the screen. And seeing Jinx come in and kill it was just awesome. Like I knew they were going to. I did. But just to see it in action, let's go. But overall, The Devil's Cord was a really spectacular Doctor Who episode and a great, like, true to force Doctor Who episode for the 15th Doctor, if I'm being honest. It felt like this amazing amalgamation of classic Who, new Who, and a little bit of something else. And it really, really works, if I'm being honest. But the most interesting aspects of both these episodes I have not spoken about yet, and that is Ruby Sunday. We see in Space Babies that she can like recall memories to the point where she was changing the memory, and then snow was starting to form on the space station. With this first thought, I really did have flashbacks to the Celestial Toymaker and the way he warped reality and how he was a big, big focus of the 60th, so it would make sense to carry over whatever he had set up in the 60th into this new season, especially with him saying his minions would come.
Pause.
So I had these thoughts that Ruby was, first I thought the person who drops her off is definitely her. Like, right? Like we all agree on that. We all saw the boots. Ruby is dropping Ruby off. I hope we all know that. This is Doctor Who, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. Like that's what's happening there, right? But other than that, I couldn't figure out her origin. I figured the reason that she was going to get that test done and that they weren't going to find anything is because she's not from Earth. And then this happened. And I was like, she's affecting reality. She's got something else in her that is probably not good. And then what happened when they were fighting Maestro? Maestro said that she was an abomination, said that she needed to be destroyed, and someone's child, I believe. I need to rewatch the episode if I'm being honest. Nonetheless, it solidified for me, like, Ruby's probably a Celestial. And if I'm going to be honest, I think that she's a Celestial that is based on the concept of fictional characters. Hear me out. I know how weird that sounds, but like think of her name, Ruby Sunday. It is a typical protagonist type name. Like that is the protagonist in any 90s children's cartoon. Like let's be honest, guys. And maybe it's not even, maybe she's just like the concept of fiction, right? Like fiction in general. That's why they keep breaking out into musical numbers. That's why I said I didn't enjoy it until this new one, because when they did the musical, there's a big twist at the end. They did all that, and then Ruby's neighbor was in the that episode as well, and she was in the previous episode and in the 60th, or not the 60th, the Christmas special. So yeah, like Mrs. Flood is showing up everywhere, so she obviously has something to do with it if she's not just Ruby's mother, because that is very RTD to do.
And they are.
There's going to be some good theory crafting this season, I can tell. And I'm very excited to see what comes of the next episode, especially since Moffat came back under RTD's like direction. What? Two amazing writers of Doctor Who coming back did like, ooh, they're pulling out all the guns. They want this to work, y'all. And in my opinion, I really think it's going to. Like I said earlier, I wasn't the biggest fan of Space Babies, like over, like, it's hard to say. I enjoyed Space Babies, but it's not an episode that I'm going to watch on repeat, like, you know, Your Vincents and the Doctors, or The End of Time, or any of those amazing episodes. But at the same time, I could definitely see myself not skipping it if I'm doing a full rewatch. Because let's be real, some of us skip episodes. Like, I'm not going to watch all of Classic Who again. I've done it 3 times. That is enough. That's not true. I'm going to rewatch it again. I've been thinking about it all day. Yes, sorry. The rambling gremlin got me. So, overall though, Like I said, Space Babies, it was okay. Wouldn't skip it on my rewatch. Really enjoyed the Devil's Cord. I really enjoyed the Church on Ruby Road, but like the Devil's Cord, like, oh my goodness, right? Like, I don't think I'm the only one feeling that. I watched a couple reviews on the episode, and it seems like general consensus is that was the better of the two episodes for everybody. In closing, I think that Shooty's doctor is really going to be a force to be reckoned with once we see more of him. I feel like he's going to be able to hit those emotional beats, keep up that high energy, and bring us in. When he monologues, it really feels like the Doctor. And I know other Doctor Who fans know what I'm talking about, because I don't know any Doctor Who fan that doesn't know their favorite monologue beat for beat.
Take it! Take it all, baby!
So when he monologues, it really feels like Doctor Who. It feels like he is the Doctor. And I'm enjoying that so far. And I can't wait to see more of that, if I'm being honest. Even though I think the new Who got a little bit too into the drama at times, I'm really excited to see what Ncuti does in those dramatic moments, because we've only gotten like small bits of them so far, and they've really impressed me. Same for Ruby. With her, it's more of I'm just intrigued. I want to know more about her. I want to know. She's almost like the Impossible Girl, which I'm not the biggest fan of Claire Oswald. I know a lot of the fan base isn't, but at the same time, it reminds me of that storyline because the Doctor's scanning her immediately. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if the Doctor like singled her out and took her on purpose to study her, because he realized something was up. Because if you remember, during the Church on Ruby Road, he had been following her for a few days, and as we learned in the Devil's Cord, it was even longer than what we had thought. So I am really excited to see what exactly Ruby Sunday's genetics are made up of. And other than that, for this season, I really am excited to see what's going on with Mrs. Flood. I've seen a lot of really good theories about her being the one who's waiting, about her being a regeneration of Susan, which I think the one who's waiting is Susan, but that's neither here nor there. I think there's a couple fans who've drawn that conclusion a little bit, but let's be real, it's probably not going to happen. And if they recasted her while she's still alive, like, everyone would be pretty mad. Carol Ann Ford just deserves better in general. But yes, I am very excited to see where season 1 of Doctor Who's new era goes. I think Ncuti's going to do really good. Very intrigued about Ruby, so that's good. RTD is back, which, like, let's go. The only thing I was worried about is during the 60th, there was this moment between Rose and Donna that kind of bothered me. I think the message they were trying to get with the whole binary, non-binary, binary, non-binary was brilliant, if I'm being honest. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought that moment was really good. But then they did this really weird thing where Donna's daughter looked at the Doctor and was like, it's something a male representing Time Lord can never understand. And the only reason it bothered me, it's not because it's like, oh, they're tearing down on men or anything like that. It literally only bothered me because my guy literally just spent like a couple decades probably as a woman. Like, I think he would understand in that moment. Like, I do. He's only been a man again for a few days at most, maybe a month. But yes, I've been StrawHatLucas, Captain of the Last Ark. Make sure you hit subscribe, like the video, leave a comment if you want. If you're here because of Doctor Who, like I said, give me a sub. I will be talking about Doctor Who more as the new season comes out. I'm really excited to see where it goes. But yeah, we will see you guys next week, where I will be talking about another live action series, but this time it's back over to anime and manga, because we're going to be talking about season 2 of One Piece live action. You guys have a wonderful night, and we'll see you again soon.